And we're back with, I think, the last of the OBS Ninja Basics lessons. I'm Chris, and this
Steve.
way there's Steve. Hey, how are you doing?
Good, man.
Doing good. So we have kept this one to be the last of our basic series. And by the way, this will not stop. This series will continue, but we will go into deeper concepts from now on. But to get started, this is, I can see the joy in Steve's face because we're now talking about the Mac and yeah. So you've seen in, where was it? The fourth lesson we had, Steve added an OBS Ninja stream as a browser source into OBS. And it's fairly simple from a directory stream. You just drag and drop a link, or you can just add an OBS Ninja link, obs.ninja/?view equals stream ID, and then that just shows up in there, and then you can click a button and the audio comes in there, and then you have this, just one link in OBS that pulls in a remote guest, and that is very, very cool. Unfortunately, OBS is broken on the Mac in it is sort of in a way that it doesn't. Okay, this is about the built-in Chrome version. Okay, the browser source uses Chrome, and the built-in Chrome version in OBS is kind of locked in at a version that doesn't support certain things. I think that's probably the best way to explain that.
Is it ever going to be fixed?
Well, we hope it will be fixed. I think the OBS people have it on their radar. We've made enough noise. If you're on the Mac and you have the same problems, feel free to let them know that you want this fixed. But anyway, so you cannot just plug in an OBS Ninja URL into the browser source on OBS on the Mac. It just doesn't work. And Steve, you have put in a warning. So if you try to add an OBS Ninja link into a browser source on the Mac, then you get a warning that says, nope, sorry, it doesn't work. So what do we do? Well, there's a way around it, a workaround, which is that you receive the video on a different channel, not in the browser source, but in the Electron app. So let me show that to you. We've, I think, had it in another episode. So what you see here, first of all, that's my OBS here on my Mac. And here is the Electron app that we already briefly talked about. And what the Electron app does is it receives an OBS Ninja stream. So it does a few more things, but that's kind of the most important thing. And it receives that in a frameless window. You can see the window doesn't have any header bar and buttons and no frame, no nothing. It's just a blank window. In secret, behind the scenes, it's a Chrome browser. It's an app built around a Chrome browser, and a fairly modern one at that, so it supports all the important features that OBS Ninja needs. So this receives a stream, and it has a way to output the audio to a specific device. And that's pretty much the way to get that video into OBS on a Mac. It's a bit ass backwards, but anyway, so let me do this. Let me receive a stream from Steve. We call that Steve in Canada. So that will be pulled in here. And then I have an audio output destination, and that I can select probably all my devices on my system, including the virtual ones. And this is what you need on a Mac. You need a virtual audio device, which is on Windows, the terminology is a virtual audio cable. On Mac, there's several products. There's the freeware called Blackhole. There's Soundflower, which again creates this virtual device that you can send something in on one side and take out on the other side. I use a product by Rogue Amoeba called Loopback, which allows me to create a whole bunch of virtual devices. And as I'm a pretty heavy user of this, I have like a whole bunch of virtual devices there. And here's my SL1 device. And I just want to send the audio from Steve to my SL1 device. And I click go. And bing! I should see his video. Is your stream still sending?
Steve in Canada?
Steve in Canada?
Let me just refresh if it's not. Hit retry, see if it shows up.
We're trying.
Steve
Maybe I
in
mistyped.
Canada.
Let me check. View equals Steve in Canada. It's probably my fingers. And click go. And there we are. Okay, it was entirely my mistake, Steve. Everything's fine. Mistyped this. Okay, so here is the frameless OBS Ninja Electron Capture app, which you can, by the way, download from the GitHub. We'll put a little link in the notes in the description. So what does it do? On the Mac, it's set to be always on top. Okay, so if I take another window, let me just take a terminal window here and try to, doesn't go over it, goes behind it because it's always on top. So, and the reason that is always on top is because the way to get this into OBS is by display or window capturing it. So I found that display capture is the faster version, higher frame rate version on the Mac. Window capture, wouldn't mind it being in the background, but I see some lower frame rates on that one. So display capture is the way to do that. And I could either put this little Electron window on a different screen if I have a second one, or I can tuck it really far away in a corner and just ignore it there and then capture it from there. So that's what I want to do. Now, at this point in time, we are recording this on in early October 2020. So OBS version 26 has just been released, and OBS 26 is brand spanking new. They've changed a lot of things around. They fixed bugs. They also introduced a couple of new things. One being that if you want to display capture the OBS Ninja Electron Capture app, it doesn't show up in the list unless it's not set to always on top. Okay, so that's just a little workaround, but I think this will be fixed relatively quickly because a lot of people have that issue. So anyway, what I'm going to do is, for now, I'm just I right-click my mouse on it. By the way, this is also where I can set the size of this window. So if I want this to be bigger, I can just resize it. So this is now set to 720p, 1280 times 720, and the always on top check mark. I just click that, and now I can put something over the app. So I'm pushing this out to the side, away from this capture, and now here in OBS, let me add a display capture. And let me call this Steve in Canada. There you go. And there's a whole ton of stuff on the screen. I want to limit this to window. And now I want to limit this to OBS N1. That's the first OBS N Electron app that we started. And look who's here. There we go. And now I can have Steve in my scene and put him anywhere I want in OBS. It's that simple. So, okay, now we have the video in here. And let me make you, well, somewhere like this. So now we have your video in there, but there is no audio in there. Well, there is, because I already set it up. Let me take it out and show everyone how to do this. So by default, there is no audio in there. But remember, we put Steve's audio into the SL1 virtual device that I set up. So there's a virtual audio device running. Again, could be Blackhole, could be Soundflower, and there are others. But Loopback is the one that works for me. It's not free, but works quite well. So Steve's audio is nowhere to be seen unless I add it, and I have multiple ways to do that. I can just add a input capture, and in that setup, I can just select that virtual device, SL1. And you can see it show up here as a new meter. And when Steve speaks, say something. There we go.
Test.
There, the audio comes in. That would be one way to do it. And that limits it to this one scene. So inside that scene, his audio is now selected. If I remove that, and if I go into OBS settings, I don't. Oh, yes, you can see the settings. So under the audio tab, there is global audio devices, and those are available in all scenes in OBS. So if I go and I choose SL1 here, then Steve's audio comes in, and if you say something, there we go, it's moving. And if I now add a new scene with, I don't know, something else, it's still here. It's still here in a separate scene. So again, let me recap. We have OBS browser capture on Windows, where it's just a simple drag in a URL and click a link to click a checkbox to enable pulling in the audio. Or on Mac, use the separate Electron Capture app, display capture that one, send its audio to a virtual device, and then capture that one in OBS as well. It's a bit more complicated, but the thing I like, Steve, what you've done is you have added some more features to make it easier to automate that setup. And one is that you can, for example, give the Electron app a title. So you can set it up with, I could set this up if I record every week with you, my podcast, something, I could just start this with -t equals Steve. And then it would be Steve. And then I could set up a display capture in my OBS scene that always looks for the Steve window. And then it finds that. And that helps with automating the setup. I think we should do an entire lesson here about automating
just the Electron, or just
setup, just automating things. There's so much stuff that you can do, and you're just in the process of adding some new features that make it even easier to automate, like automatically select an audio device and a video camera and so on based on substrings and things. So this is moving in a very, very cool direction, especially for producers who want to set up things really quickly. So I guess that's it, or did I miss anything?
I just want to mention that Mac users don't have the complete short end of the stick on all fronts. OBS on Windows has some other glitches on its own. It has a lot of issues with VP8 video glitching, and Mac users don't have those problems because they're using a newer version of Chrome.
Yes.
Mac users actually have a more stable and have more features available to them, although it's a little more work to set up.
But I've done all the work for you, so you don't have to. And we'll talk a bit more about this here, so that Mac users are welcome. Okay, I think that covers our basic lessons. And then from the next one on, I think we want to get into some use cases and some features in depth and stuff. So I hope that was helpful for everyone who's new to OBSN. Maybe some of you are not new to it and learned something still. And again, if you want to find out more, we have, where are we? Here we are, the parameters for OBS Ninja at params.obs.ninja. Yep. Then we have the GitHub at github.obs.ninja. And from there, you will find a download link for the Electron app and for everything else, all the guides and everything. And yeah,